Hi, friends. Thanks for tuning in to the Mental Fitness Unscripted podcast, where our conversation will encourage your healthy living journey. Inspired by our Team Quadzilla coaching motto, healthy living starts between your ears, we talk about mental fitness in ways that challenge us to think about our thinking regarding topics like habits, leadership, exercise, values, marriage, parenting, and faith. Our hope with this podcast is to sharpen you as we sharpen ourselves to be all we were made to be. So let's dive right into the conversation on this episode of Mental Fitness Unscripted.
All right. Well, we didn't pre-plan, but we did talk about something this morning. Just so I'm going to let you kick it off here. I'm excited for this subject. It'll be fun.
Yeah. So what our listeners don't know is that we have a giant wheel, like at The Price is Right, with different subjects on it, and we spin the wheel, and wherever it stops is what we talk about. So today we landed.
I haven't seen the wheel.
Yeah, it's hidden.
Okay.
It's very mysterious. Today the big wheel lands on parenting.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't talked about parenting in a while. And I just thought, for most of us, one of the key roles that we have is a parent. And I have recently been through some parenting training. Actually, I was facilitating this class, if you will. And it just reminded me of all the things that I have learned through my experience, the good and the bad, and all of that. And I just was reminded while I'm teaching this class that unless you're very intentional about looking for it, there is not training for parenting. Mm-hmm. You can have children just as easy as can be. And then it's like, now what? What am I supposed to do? and as we look around us, we see there is an incredible void of good parenting, and we have cultural and societal issues because of it. So parenting is important, is what I'm meaning to say here, and so we should talk about that.
I think it's a great subject. What's funny is you said it's easy to become a parent, but how do I move forward from that? Where did I pick up my training and so forth?
Yeah.
It gave me this image. So I grew up. I live in a small city, but my parents are from rural parts of Idaho. And so visiting my grandparents and so forth, I learned at an early age that it was quite interesting. Every time you pass a farmhouse, here's this poor dog that's just bored out of his mind because there's nothing to do. And here comes a car.
Yeah.
The first thing they do is they chase it and chase it and chase it. And my dad always made a comment. He used to slow down and stop, and the dog would stand there and go, huh?
Huh? Yeah.
This
now,
isn't
now
normal.
what?
Yeah, this isn't normal. And so it was always fun to do that. I grew up as a teenager when we drive through a rural part and a dog comes out and chase you, you just slow down and stop. Dog will just stand there and go, well, okay, I caught you. Now what do I do? And
Oh man.
I think sometimes becoming a parent is just like that. Okay, this is really cool, but I caught it. Now what do I do?
Yeah, right. Oh, that's funny.
There's your metaphor for the day.
Yeah, that is funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so what I was thinking is I have a few ideas. I mean, I could probably go on for way too long about things that I've learned about what works and what doesn't work, and the complexities of parenting, and the fact that it truly is an art, because every kid is different. Even in your own house, every kid is different.
Yep.
And so you can't apply a strict rule here and expect it to get the same outcomes for every kid at every stage. And that's the other complexity, is that as your kids grow, you've got to grow with them and change and grow as a parent. And so, yeah, this is an enormous subject. Um, but I think firstly, can we just agree that it is of utmost importance? And if we're not, regardless of the age of your kids, if we're not paying attention and being very intentional about our efforts and influence on our kids, then we're missing something. And so I want that to be kind of the first point, is that you you cannot just phone it in here as a parent. You cannot let the church raise your kid. You cannot let the school raise your kid. Oh my gosh, please do not let the school raise your kid.
I,
Um,
don't let any other entity do it.
yes.
You are responsible. You are the leader. Oh, I love this, Chad. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are so many people that just, oh, well, this organization, whatever it is, will take care of my. I agree with that organization, so they'll do it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Daycare is a big thing for me. What I'm about to say is probably not going to be very popular, but Angie and I made a decision, a very difficult decision, when Brandon was born, that he would not experience daycare.
Hmm.
And that came at a significant financial consequence that most people, as evidenced by the overbooked daycare facilities, are not willing to make. Um, so I don't know your opinion about this, but let me just say that despite the financial hardship of Angie staying home to raise Brandon, I am 100% confident that we as a family, and him as a young man now, are incredibly blessed by having mom at home with him to raise him.
I totally agree, and I honor you for that. I mean, it's truly a sacrifice to make that decision and to move elsewhere, and take on that responsibility. I I believe the same, but I'm going to put a caveat in there. There are situations, a single mother or a single
Yeah.
father. Okay, I mean, there's a variety of situations.
Yes.
Maybe economic, somebody gets in trouble with some bills and they have to take a period of time and go through that period of time to get themselves back on. But as a long-term thing, I believe that there are ways that you can make it so that your influence. I'll give you an example. We were in a situation that my wife had to go to work and I had to go to work. Okay.
Okay.
We opted that that would not happen with daycare. One of us would
Mm,
take them to the office with us,
mm,
and anyway,
hmm,
that's another subject, but we wanted our influence to be pervasive there. And I
yes.
understand that you can't always take your child to work. We
Yes.
found we found options to do that, and it was a sacrifice. I mean, it would have been better another way, but um, I'm with you. I think there's a way.
Hmm.
There are circumstances that daycare is necessary, but I think as parents we can take that and say, okay, how do I do that, but still maintain that I'm in charge. I'm the one influencing my child. I don't give that to some other organization, whether it's daycare, scouting, church. I mean, those are all good things. You can find the best daycare, best people, best influence. They will never replace you, ever, as a
Yes.
parent. Never, never, never.
Yes.
You can find good people in scouting. You can find good people at church, but they will never replace you as a parent. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And so to that point,
Full
when,
stop.
yeah, when I agree, yes. So there are always extenuating circumstances, but what I don't want people to hear is that, well, I obviously have an extenuating circumstance.
I believe that.
That is not what my point is, that that is not the automatic
Mm-mm,
default answer.
mm-mm.
It's it's look yourself in the mirror and be like, what what could I give up? What do I need to sacrifice in order to make this most important thing possible? And if there is no other way, and these are the only things that are available to you, well, then you have to be even more intentional about pouring into your
Yep,
kids
yep,
because you're not with them
yep.
during your workday.
Exactly.
And so your job is amplified in that sense, because now you're having to battle whatever the other influences are on your young person at home in less time. So all the more reason to get all in on parenting skills, techniques, and principles, so that you can maximize that time. And I'm not going to give you that prescription, but what
Uh,
I'm going to challenge anybody listening in that predicament is, you have got to be extra intentional.
exactly. Yep. It's not something you can give away. It's
Yeah.
something you can augment. I mean, I look at our children. So just so that you know, I've raised 5 children. Um, so we've been through this cycle, but
Yeah.
it's interesting that the what I thought was the manual, because we were doing so good on that first child, did not work on the second child. I mean, I knew everything until that second child had a
Yeah.
different personality, and it was like, oh wow, well here we go.
Yep.
But it's hard. It really is hard. But I'm going to give you a phrase here, and it's something that my wife and I have always used as a standard. So here it is. What
Mm.
lasts longest is most important.
Mm.
What lasts longest is the most important. So
Oof.
your responsibility to your child is going to last until you die, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
Their
forever.
lifetime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say forever because I believe it goes beyond death. But your work as a parent, your responsibility as a parent, your obligation as a parent, your duty, your fill in the blank here
Mm.
as a parent will last a much, much longer than any career, any hobby, any fill in the blank there than anything else.
Wow.
And so, we use that as a gauge for a lot of decisions. What lasts longest is most important.
Boy,
Okay.
I really like that.
We get all caught up and, well, we've got this family reunion, and we spend all this time, or a family vacation. We spend all this time working on that and planning it and putting it together. And then we forget to work on and plan and so forth and structure our association with our children. Okay, and I don't know what your situation is, but
Yeah.
I'm human, and whatever's in my face usually tends to get the attention. Okay,
Right.
but because those relationships last the longest, sometimes we let them drift off into the background of what's in our
Mm.
face. And so,
Yeah.
we need to just take that moment and say, okay, what lasts longest? Is it really
Mm.
this party? Is it really this vacation? Is it really my effort to promote at work? Is it important to promote at work? Absolutely. It'll benefit your family. It'll pay you more money. I get that, but at what expense? Anytime you give attention to something, you're ignoring other things. And so
Yes.
you've got to play that. And so that's
Mm.
one standard that we've always used. Now, have we done it correctly every time? No. I mean, sometimes this happens, and we
Yeah.
forget. But we have that touchstone of what lasts longest is most important.
Oof. Boy, that's really good. I like that. That's really good. In in a in a way, there's how do I want to say this? There's a generational concept here that is very true in parenting, because if you think about how it is that I invest in Brandon, um, absolutely influences how he is going to parent his children should he be blessed with them, and on and on. And where does that framework come from? Well, it's the previous generation.
Right.
So to your point, amplifying what's most important, holy smokes, if you think about what choices that I'm making now and how I'm choosing to parent could affect grandkids and great grandkids and on and on and on. Holy
Generations. Yeah,
smokes, that's a big calling right there.
absolutely. And it's a big responsibility. And
Yeah.
you better make good decisions about yourself. Um,
Ugh.
I mean, and what you do, because
Yeah.
what here's another thing that we lived by. We have to be on top of our game because they will only do half of everything good that you do, and they
Mm,
will do everything wrong plus what you
yeah.
do. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that's too convicting. Can we're gonna have to edit that out because it's too convicting.
Well, it's incumbent on me. If I tell somebody that I'm going to go to church, I better darn well do it twice as good as I expect them,
Mm,
as I'm expecting them
yeah.
to do it. Why?
Yeah.
Because for some reason there's a something dissolves. It's diluted as it
Yeah.
moves on. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? But
Yes.
everything bad will justify everything that they do, and it will justify other things that direction. It just, for some reason, it just
Yes.
falls that way.
Yes.
I wish I knew the physics or the
Yeah.
whatever it was of that.
The arithmetic that goes with that formula, but by principle, though, I think that's hard to argue against. We recently talked about C.S. Lewis and his perspective on this, and you can call it drift or whatever, but it is plain. Others in modern time have said the same thing, but your your life is moving in the direction of your strongest thoughts, and there is no idle,
Mm-mm,
there is no
no,
uh,
there's no neutral.
no neutral. You're going in one direction or the other, and
Yep.
so in regards to parenting, that this is what we're talking about. You've got to be on your game, and and instilling these positive things, even more so, because they're only going to take portions of that. But whatever you're screwing up, that's like fair game, and they're just going to amplify that. So, oof.
Yeah. And the other thing is children will see the sermon that you're teaching, not
Mm,
hear the sermon that you're saying. They will
oh,
see, they know,
yeah.
and they are so smart. I mean, even at young ages, they are so
Mm-hmm.
quick and so, yeah, adept at seeing what behind the scenes of what
Yeah.
you're doing. It's like the dad that sits down, okay, son, he's got a beer in his hand and he says, okay, son, I don't want you to drink.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. It reminds me of a commercial growing up. My brother and I, he's a year younger than me. Um, my dad my dad was a smoker, okay? And we hated it. We always hated it. It was
Mhm.
never going to be a temptation for us to smoke. But there was a commercial on TV where the smoking dad, the thing hanging out of his mouth, catches his kid smoking, and he gets all up in his grill about not smoking or whatever, because it's an anti-smoking commercial.
Right.
And the kid says, "I learned it from you, Dad." And it's like, where the dad's like, why are you doing this? How did you choose this? Whatever. He's like, "I learned it from you, Dad." It's exactly to your point. We can't be walking around with a cigarette hanging out of our mouth and then expecting our kids to not be smokers.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Yep.
So also very convicting because I know that, I've got bad habits and things that I've had to work through, and that surely he has seen or experienced in some kind of fashion, whether it's, you know, um, pick your poison, some kind of a greed or a selfishness or anger or, whatever, coveting, go through the list, but they're picking up on all of that stuff.
All of it. If I yell at the guy
Yeah.
that cut me off in traffic, man, it just gives
Yes.
license, and they'll do twice that. If
Yeah.
I gossip about the neighbor, um, they'll do twice
Yep.
that.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, that's a good one.
so
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's yeah,
Whew.
that's pretty big. Let's let me transition just a little bit into
But yeah,
something
let's get
that's,
away from that because
yeah,
I need to
it's
be in my prison suit in bars here. So
I know I'm flushed with conviction.
mm,
Um so w- a thing that had come out of our class that I thought was really impactful to some of the participants would say that the habits and routines, the rhythms of your family are super important. And we know from things like atomic habits or compound effect or other, you know, present thought leaders in this realm are suggesting that what you do to start the day and what you do to end the day with your children are incredibly impactful.
absolutely.
So we had basically a routine or a prescription for that included, when Brandon was young, it was, some story time and then always some prayers. And that's how we went to bed. We didn't talk about heavy things. We didn't, um, it was meant to calm. It was meant to center us on the Lord. It was meant to have some fun maybe and catch up the day and have a good story and da da da. And that made for security in Brandon as a young person. He knew that he was safe. This was a good experience for him to go to bed every night. So that was kind of our prescription for a long time. As an example, I'm not saying that's for everybody, but the point is that how you finish your day with the kids and how you start the day with the kids needs to be something positive, encouraging, productive, helpful, nice, whatever. Thoughts on that?
Well, here again, they're going to watch what you do for you. Okay. We call it bookending our day. So
Yeah.
there's a front and there's a back, and we did much the same thing, but we took it on ourselves to bookend ourselves and improve ourselves. And what's interesting is that's probably, it's back to our children watch rather than
Mm,
hear what we're saying.
yeah.
Our children saw my wife and I bookending our day, and therefore they have, you know, our children are adults now, and they bookend their day. I mean, all of
Yeah.
them do. Perfectly? No. One of the things that we did as a family is we read scriptures every morning and said prayers
Mm,
together as a family. But we also did our personal, and they knew that that was part of our bookend. But what's interesting is how that's transitioned to the next generation now
mm.
without our pushing. And they saw the sermon, they didn't hear the sermon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
fantastic.
so no, I totally agree. You have to bookend your that really centers things because there's going to be all kinds of influence in the middle of the day, but
Yeah.
now you have this chance to set up the day right so that when it
Yeah.
is under influence from somewhere else, school or whatever, friends, etc. That can happen, but they have that good start, and then at the other end, you can kind of tie up the day and say, okay, how did it go? And you've got those things, and you let them peacefully rest instead of this stress. We're going to bed with these problems, and we watch the news together as a family and then go to bed.
Oh my
The,
gosh.
the weight
Yeah.
of the world. And what's funny is you'll find that children get frightened because it's scary out there
Yeah.
if that's what your influence is. But I love what you did with Brandon. Story time, prayer. I'll give you a little example of a pragmatic thing that we used to do. Kids will get scared of the dark,
Mm,
and the
yes.
idea came to me. Okay, let's let them control the dark then. And so I would go buy a flashlight and give them the flashlight and put them in
Mm,
control of their darkness. Well, I'm scared of the dark. Here's a flashlight. When that happens, just turn it on. The dark goes away.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
You know,
Love
let
it.
let your kids own it. Let them be responsible, and as much as they can, be in control of it.
Mm, cool. Yeah, I like that. We know this is true for ourselves. And
Mhm.
this is the beautiful and very complicated, difficult, convicting thing about parenting is that it requires us to level up. It requires us to have disciplines about bookending our days, for example, and living the habits that we want our
Yeah.
children to have. We can't just lord it over them.
No.
And I think that's kind of the gist of our our lesson today is that it starts with us. We've got to choose the the appropriate sacrifices for our children. um, I want to include a caveat here about the sacrifices for our children because I see parents all the time who basically worship their children.
Hmm.
And that sounds like a terrible word, but just think about it. Who gets all of your attention? Who do you spend all of your money on? Who do you run around like you're the chauffeur to all of their activities and you know involve them in every single thing possible, and then you cheer for them at all of these different things.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that any of that stuff is bad or
No, it's
wrong,
good.
but
It's
what I
good.
am saying is that sometimes we can get caught basically living vicariously through them and in a sense worshiping them and in a sense deriving some of our own identity and value by what our kids are doing or what they're about. And then what happens is that we end up neglecting our spouse, ourselves, and pretty soon the kids are grown, and now you're looking at your spouse or even yourself in the mirror and you're like, what the heck happened? Who am I? Who is this person that I live with, that I raise these kids with, and I don't even know anymore?
Right.
Um, that's a pretty big deal.
It is. And in principle, you're even neglecting your child's upbringing. If you're busy living vicariously or worshiping, however you put it there, if you're
Yeah.
living through that child, what you've done is you've neglected their training. Um,
Yes.
you're letting the tail wag the
Inmates run the asylum.
you're letting the tail wag the dog, and
Yeah.
they don't need you to be their buddy. They don't need you
Oh,
to be their friend. They don't need you to be their peer. What they need is they need your leadership, your love, your instruction, your. It's okay to worship them, but in the right vein. They are their own person. They are not you. This is really convicting to me because
mm,
I'm the greatest dad. You need to be like me. And oh,
yeah.
that backfired so fast. And I had
uh,
to I had to transition. I had to learn that what, that child has their own personality, and I need to support that and head it the right direction.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, forcing a mini
Yeah.
me
Ooh,
does not,
it,
yeah,
it's a
and
bad,
that's no
it's a
bueno.
bad outcome. See, I'm an outdoors guy. I love that. I have one son. He'll go with me, but he is not an
Mm,
outdoors guy. Uh, and I treated him that way, and it didn't work. I mean, it just
yeah,
it wasn't his thing, and that's fine. But
yep.
I can't force my personality, my wants, I can't do that. I have to support who he is and make sure that that's headed the right direction.
Oh, yeah, so good. Man,
We could spend months on this.
yeah, I think so. We should probably put a pin in our calendar to circle back on this stuff more often than we have, because there's just so much to share and to learn. But we hit some good stuff today, uh, having routine, being very intentional, being responsible first, not giving that to some other
Yeah,
group
no,
or organization, whatever.
please don't. I
Um,
mean, use them. They can be a great
yeah,
help. I mean,
yep,
I'm a product of several organizations, but
yep,
but I, you know, I, my main product came from my parents.
yeah. Oof. All right. So
Yes,
the one big takeaway, what would you say from what we've discussed today? What would be the one thing, if no one heard anything else today, what would be
I
the big thing?
I would say be twice the good person you want your child to be.
Yeah, that's pretty convicting. Yeah, I like that.
That's hard. It's
Yes,
super hard,
yes,
but that's the role you've taken on.
yeah, yeah. Put that to action, team. This is big. I will add to that. Be very careful about idolizing or worshiping your children at the expense of your spouse. Your spouse is going to be with you long after your children are.
What
And so,
last?
as important as they are to raise, they will eventually leave.
Yep. What lasts longest is most important.
Love that. So, I am not perfect at any of this stuff.
Oh
I have
no,
made all of the mistakes. I'm preaching to myself here very much, so don't take me wrong. But yeah, just take some action on this stuff today. Make yourself a better parent.
yep. I love
Awesome.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chad.
Cool. Thanks. Have a good one. Bye,
Have a great
Todd.
weekend. We'll see you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Mental Fitness Unscripted podcast. Now go take some action, because we know that information alone doesn't change you, but taking even the smallest action in the right direction does. Also, subscribe and comment so more people can find the podcast and be encouraged. If you're ready to take your mental fitness to the next level and you'd like more support, check out teamquadzilla.com for our resources that will help you accelerate your journey. Until next time, remember, healthy living starts between your ears.